Hey guys, episode 3 of Skeleton Crew just came out, and I must say, as much as I love the first two episodes, this one was the weakest of the three. I think that's primarily due to their kind of pacing issue with this episode. The start of it was very slow and kind of felt like it was dragged out a bit too long. However, I love the musical cues, I love the cinematography, I love kind of the journey and the bantering between the characters, and especially, I love the mystery behind Jod and Crimson Jacken, or who he is, or what he, what's his past kind of thing. And I like the Owl character too, actually. It was kind of like one of those kind of little nods to like Yoda being some sort of wise alien creature. I thought overall the episode was good, just not great. And I think it doesn't really compare or compete with the previous two episodes. It makes me question if it would be better as a movie, this show, or even the format of just releasing it all at once. However, I'm still excited to see the kind of the journey of these characters and follow them on their kind of, what's it called, playful expedition, I guess you could say. And I really want to know the intrigue and mystery. I hope it's really good of the planet at Aden and even Jod. I would hope that he's not just, what's it called, like a Jedi who doesn't believe to be a Jedi anymore because the Order's fallen, or even just some random guy who has the Force. I kind of hope there is a bit more to it than that. But you never know. But overall, still looking forward to next week. Was a bit of a slower and not as exciting as the other ones. Still gave it a 7 out of 10 on the Instagram reviews. But I'll see you in the next one.
Hey everyone, so I thought I'd jump on and give you my thoughts on episode 3 of Skeleton Crew. Now, those who checked out our Instagram review or even our podcast last week will know that I was not a massive fan of the first two episodes of Skeleton Crew. I thought they were very simple and very lackluster and just didn't excite me at all. Surprisingly, episode 3 did work for me. It was something that I really enjoyed. I had a fun time watching. I thought it was continued the simple storytelling in the first half, but the second half, where we kind of went to this planet and we were looking at sort of astronomy-based sort of stuff, was really quite interesting and certainly something that I enjoyed watching. And little did I know, Alia Shawkat, one of my favorite actors from a show called Arrested Development, was the voice of the owl, so that was nice to see. But beside that point, the cinematography was absolutely gorgeous. We'd seen some of it in the trailer before, so it wasn't totally like groundbreaking, but it looked really good on the TV. So I appreciate that this episode went and took the effort, made the effort to show that cinematography. But even beyond that, just the scene where they're escaping the X-Wings, I really liked that. I liked the sense of danger, the sense of excitement, the first time that Wim got to go into a man turret and he started just firing rapidly in all sorts of directions. He hit the ship a couple times. That was fantastic. That was funny. I audibly laughed. It was the first time in a long time for a Star Wars show I've had a good chuckle. So I liked this episode. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 on our Instagram review. So go check it out on Instagram if you want to get more, I guess, a more brief or some in-depth summary. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Skeleton Crew, episode 3.
Man, episode 4 of Skeleton Crew. So for me, for this one, is really where it's showing that this show alone, it should have been done as a movie. I feel like they're trying to extend a very small premise and a very fun adventure-esque type show, but with their show format and the episode lengths that they're going with is really making it a bummer in terms of how the story progresses and develops in the individual episodes. I think this one suffered the most from it. I don't think the editing was that bad with this episode. I just think that the overall story narrative for them kind of finding this, it was this other at Akron place instead of at Atten from the owl lady that they got the coordinates from, which also makes me question, like, I don't think she would have gotten that wrong unless she was deliberately trying to throw them off. Like, I don't know. It's just another bit of one of those things where it's like, oh, gotcha kind of moments. It didn't really have that much action. The weird kids plot line and with Neil and the lady, I don't know. I didn't really buy it that much. I didn't really connect with that kind of part of it that much. However, I really did enjoy the part where from when they were starting to go up into the tower to get the records in the Fallen Kingdom, whatever they called it. But yeah, I didn't mind that. But then it ended abruptly once again, and I feel like they're going with this one like kind of mystery, which is kind of getting drawn out a little bit. Like they didn't really develop Jod that much in this one. They make you kind of care at like when he first comes in and gets the Eopies from the Hattons or whatever. And then you're like, oh yeah, he's done something good, but in the end he just paid him off kind of thing. So it's like a bit of another kind of like a subverting expectation, I guess. So I don't know. This is very mid episode. It didn't really like satisfy my craving for how the first couple episodes did for me. So overall, episode 4 is, I reckon, probably a 5 to a 6 range for me. It's average. It didn't really do much. It didn't progress the story much. It just basically did what you expected it to, but also did it in a weird way. I don't know. Like this show has potential, but I think it isn't working well in the show format, or at least in the episodic releases of it. I don't know if it's going to change. We haven't really seen much of the pirates for a while, like in terms of like the actual main antagonists. So far, it's really just an exploration, which I would like to see a bit more of an antagonizing kind of threat. But I guess that will come with being a longer episode show format. But I'm still going to tune in for it. I don't know. Don't know if my colleague will agree in terms of if it's going to be a Neil centric episode next week. But I actually enjoy Neil. But if it is focused on him, it must have for a greater cause or a reason, I hope. So for me, this episode definitely didn't do it as much as last week's, even the weeks before that. Last week's wasn't my favorite, but now this definitely topped the cake of not being my favorite at all. So it's a bit of a stinger to, I guess, have to talk about it negatively, because I really did enjoy the start of the show and how it's going to hopefully progress. I'm a bit disheartened by it, I guess you could say. But overall, we'll still tune in, and this is just my brief overall thoughts, as always.
Skeleton Crew, episode 4. What a disappointing episode. I was so disappointed when this episode finished. At first, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a chance through the first couple minutes of the episode. And then as it slowly progressed and this storyline about the war between the two tribes was going on, I was losing interest so quickly. And then we got to the ending scene in the tower. And I'm like, okay, here, maybe we're going to start progressing our story. Nope. They're still holding the mystery right above our heads. There's no tease as to what sort of resolution we're going to get. We're halfway through the season, and our biggest mystery about what Atten is still not any closer to being resolved than it was last week. I'm sick of this show duking me out. I'm so frustrated with this show because I was so it looked so promising last week, and this week it just fell flat on its face. I'm seriously, if the leaks are right and Neil is getting an origin story next episode, which this episode kind of set up, mind you, with the ending, I'm going to lose my marbles, I swear, because I cannot fathom that kid getting his own episode. That was this episode. He got it this episode. He was the spotlight this episode. I'm not watching a Neil-focused episode again. Don't get me wrong, he's cute and everything, and the voice actor is fantastic, but I don't give a goddamn shit about Neil. In the grand scheme of this show, I don't care. Take me back to the pirates. Take me back to the looting and the mystery of Atten. Not Neil. Really?